All right, boys, that was wild. Spain won. That's what we wanted to see. Lamine Yamal put in a wild performance. Ousmane Dembele did not. But we're going to sit here and talk about it today. There was a lot of chat from Lamine Yamal specifically and in the media about this being a Ballon d'Or decider. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. You can't give that to just one game. But if we were, man, it's not even a comparison. It's not even a comparison. And I'm going to make some real points here that can connect to the actual league that we can talk about. But we're also going to go through the game a little bit here and talk about how good Spain were. I do think De La Fuente made some major changes, specifically defensively, taking out Lenormand and bringing on Vivian. Vivian's great, wasn't good today, and it just messed up with the flow a little bit. And I don't know. I think we should have kept it the way it was. And I know Mbappe got the penalty at the 59th, but it wasn't enough to me to justify making a big swap like that. And it is what it is. I think Huijsen played really well. That's a good thing. This is like the only week we can glaze him for the rest of the year. So give him credit where credit is due. He was good today. Pretty good. Defensively, I was a little worried a couple times, but like the way he put pressure on the forwards back for France, it was great. And I just think Spain worked much better as a team. And this France side were trying to play like PSG, or it felt like they were, with their press, with the way they lined up, with Mbappe through the middle, and then Dembele occupying the central spaces so much, which, like, okay, that worked for PSG. He was great for PSG doing that. But PSG have months to prepare to play like that, and they just threw this one out there with a bunch of guys, especially Kylian Mbappe, who does not play well like that at all. He was occupying so much central space, and that's just not where he's great. You want to get him isolated on the left or, inside left a little bit where there's a forward who can take a player off of him, open up more space for him, and he can dance a little bit, right? But that really didn't work out as well. And like we've seen Mbappe try to combine with Jude there, and it just doesn't really work that well. Or it hasn't really worked that much this season. Or Vinny or Rodrigo, whoever it was, it doesn't work. So they tried it today and it didn't look good. They did not look good. Like, yeah, they created a bunch of chances. Unai Simon made a lot of saves, but I would also argue that the finishes weren't great from those chances. So yes, Unai Simon made a couple really good saves, but I feel like a couple of them were not the best finishes from the guys. And realistically, you expect the keeper to make a couple saves, hopefully, right? And yeah, I do think, obviously, this front side with Olise, Dembele, Mbappe, and Doué, these guys are fantastic forwards. They were not meshing well together. I thought Doué looked exciting for a little while. He was defending. He was giving so much support against with Theo Hernandez against Lamine. And then obviously it didn't really end up mattering at all. He ended up coming out doing very little, but scared the post a little bit a couple times. But realistically, this France side is a little bit miscombobulated, and this is not Dembele's team. This game proved to me that I don't think Dembele deserves to win the Ballon d'Or. And when teams win the trebles, normally they do. Erling Haaland didn't, most notably, but Messi did win the fucking World Cup, so it's a little bit different. However, especially because of this, against PSG in the Champions League final, against Inter Milan in the Champions League final, it did not look like Dembele's team. It looks like a great team that played great, and Dembele was also there. Like, yeah, he did some good, a lot of nothing, and was pretty quiet throughout most of the game. Made a couple good passes. Outside of that, was very much so playing second fiddle to Doué for a lot of it, but it just looks like Enrique's team is great. I can't give a Ballon d'Or to a manager. That's not how that works, and it's not Dembele's team. Today is where Ballon d'Or winners go and thrive in games that are for the national team, where they're not going to be your perfect tactics, right? They're going to play a little bit differently. You're going to have to kind of adjust to whoever's around you and things like that, especially when there's injuries and it's not the most ideal setup like it probably was for Dembele having Kalulu behind him. Dembele didn't look good. He just didn't. Now he scared the goal a couple times. I also thought I think he had two really big chances. One of them was offside and others came off mistakes, but I think he's good. The argument is not here that he's not a good player, and I want to make that very clear. I think Dembele has been great this season. He doesn't deserve the Ballon d'Or. And I'm comparing it directly to Lamine Yamal in this game, who looked absolutely stunning, and in a stunning Spain team that is very much so a cohesive unit, very much like that PSG team is. Lamine Yamal still stood out as ridiculous. And yeah, I think Zubamendi looked pretty solid. I think Oyarzabal played great. I think Pedri scored the best goal of the game by far. It was ridiculous. But Lamine is gonna, at least according to SofaScore, got the man of the match and scored a brace. One's a pen, but Dembele took pens for PSG, if I'm not mistaken. Mbappe took pens for Madrid. Rafinha took a couple pens, but not nearly as much as a lot of the other guys. And that's a normal stat padding thing. And so everybody going to Lamine Yamal saying only 9 league goals. Well, most of the time guys take pens in the league. Lamine wasn't. That would be another 6 goals. That's generous. I thought the pen today was pretty good, and it's nice to see him score because we did see him miss in a penalty shootout, right? Right? Did that happen? I don't remember. But nevertheless, I do think that this Spain team is great. I think Marino looked great filling in that space. His finish for that goal was great. Nico Williams looked really good as well. He found a lot of space out there on the left. Just wasn't getting a lot of, I guess Kalulu wasn't getting a ton of defensive support. And then the strength that Nico Williams showed today was fantastic. It was so sick to see. I don't know. This Spain team just deserves to win everything forever. It's so good. And injuries are going to come around and everything, and it's not going to be perfect all the time. But I do think just Lamine Yamal shining in this game, despite it being such a team effort, shows to me that Lamine Yamal deserves the Ballon d'Or. And Dembele still deserves an argument because of the fact that his team won so well, the fact that his 2025 only was so good. Lamine's been keeping this up all season. I don't care if his goal numbers died out for a period of time. Go look at all those matches. Go watch it with your eye holes. And even if Lamine came out of this with no goals and assists, he would have still been wildly impactful. Like for the first goal, the opening goal for Nico Williams, which Lamine Yamal found Oyarzabal, I should say. I'm working on my pronunciation there. Lamine just looked so good. I'm going to glaze him forever, but he looked great today. And I thought France fought really well. They fought back after Ousmane Dembele came off the pitch. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say he was worse than Barcola or Kolo Muani. I actually thought he was much better than Kolo Muani before he scored that header. I think that's because Cherki is fantastic. And if he's going to City or wherever he's going, I don't want to play him ever again. I don't want to care about a team that's playing against him ever again. His deliveries were wild. That finish was ridiculous. And yeah, I think he's a great player with a lot of potential. Obviously, I want to see him get away from Lyon because they're in a bit of a mess right now. And I think he's going to leave this summer. And look, it wasn't a perfect French team. I'm going to recognize that they had Lenglet, Kalulu at the back, and that's not their starters mainly. But also, Konate didn't look good either. And Maignan, yeah, he made a couple saves, but Kalulu didn't look good. I'll give him that. But Teo Hernandez is a starting left back. Lamine Yamal was triple teamed a lot, double teamed at least every time he got on the ball, except when he ran in behind, which is something we never see for Barcelona. And it's kind of cool to see him finish in those positions because he doesn't get into them very often. Usually has to beat a man, open up a little bit of space, and kind of rip it around them. To be running behind kind of like Rafinha normally scores is actually really cool to see from Lamine. I didn't really think he had that finish in him. Obviously, I just hadn't seen it, but that was sick. A little toe poke past Maignan. And yeah, it's not this ideal France side, but it's also not like they have Olise, Doué, Dembele, Mbappe. They were playing Kone over Tchouaméni, Teo Hernandez, and Konate out there. Like that's a great side. That's a very talented side, especially when you can bring on Barcola, Kolo Muani, Cherki. All Gusto even looked pretty good going forward at the very least. You can bring on so much talent, and Lucas Hernandez too, for Lenglet, to put in a performance like this. And yeah, France came back. I think it's also because De La Fuente made a couple of mistakes with the subs. I don't think Dani Olmo looked great. I don't love him on the wing just because he can't break away. That's something that Nico Williams does so much better than even Lamine. He can just run into space and beat a man in a way that really nobody else in the Spanish side can, except maybe Samu looked really exciting too. I'm really upset he missed that chance, or he kind of flubbed the chance a little bit that Lamine played him in behind. That was sick. And without Balde too, Cucurella has been good for the Spanish team, but I always see guys on Twitter kind of saying that Cucurella is just as good, if not better, than Balde, especially La Liga Michael. Big tactical on Twitter. He talks all the time. He talks a lot of shit about Barcelona and Madrid. But main point here is Balde can track back with these guys in ways that Cucurella just can't. And you even saw Pedro Porro wasn't able to catch up with him, and he's absolutely blistering fast. Having Balde's pace there is huge, especially when you have Huijsen and Lenormand there. Like, you need some pace there, and I think having Balde there could have provided a little bit. Hasn't played as much football recently, and so it makes sense. I actually think he's out injured. But the point is, this isn't a full strength necessarily Spain side in the way they can bring subs in. They didn't have Rodri, but I thought Zubamendi was really solid today. And I'm excited to see how this goes. That was a fun game to watch for neutrals, for me, for my Lamine Yamal Ballon d'Or push. Kid played a hell of a game today and outshined Kylian Mbappe, Olise, Dembele, Nico Williams, Pedri, everybody on this pitch by far. I'm sorry, it's just a fact. And I've seen too much slander on the timeline about him from whoever, saying that he doesn't deserve it. It's ridiculous, especially after watching it against a lot of Real Madrid fans, PSG fans, Barcelona hater, lots of them coming out of the woodwork right now. All of their agendas for Dembele, you cannot watch this game and think that he undoubtedly deserves this over Lamine Yamal. I'm sorry, you can't. This is a trophy. I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's probably a bigger deal than the Coupe de France, probably Ligue 1, and whatever, the Trophée des Champions or whatever it's called. So we could argue about that. I don't know about Ligue 1. That's a little bit different. But the point is, big up Lamine, big up Spain. I'm excited to see what they do on Sunday against Cristiano Ronaldo. That'll be kind of cool to see. And I want to thank you guys for watching again. Obviously, I'm going to support Spain just because all my boys are playing for them. But it's fun to watch them. It's fun to talk about them with you guys. So I appreciate that. Again, also, if you guys haven't seen on the main channel, I made a video about Joan Garcia that you guys can click on right here. Gives you a little bit of insight into what's probably going to be Barcelona's newest signing. Or I made a video on the Boisterous Noise, which is just an ultra group for Barcelona that has a lot of drama behind them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace, everybody. Later. Hasta mañana.